All right, we'll call the Board of Works to order. Morning, everyone. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you. So let the minutes reflect that we're all here today.
That's so nice.
We'll dive into the approval of the minutes from the March 15th meeting. I was absent, so gentlemen, I'll ask you for your recollection of the accuracy of these minutes.
I move to accept as presented.
Second?
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, thank you. I'd like to welcome all our visitors here today, department heads. Jack, how are you? Just to note, Jack Brunetta will be appointed to the Plan Commission tonight to replace Dave Baumgartner, so he'll be joining joining the Plan Commission. So, yeah.
It's neat.
All right. Lynn, any communications to bring to the board?
No, I don't have any communications or
All right.
reports.
All right, so with no unfinished business, we'll dive into the new business. We'll start with the street department. Their contract worksheet based on the single bid received back in November. Jeff?
Yes, back November 17, we had done bids for micro sealing and crack sealing, and we've been continuing these bids the last few years. If the contractor and the city both agrees to continue that same price, same materials, then we can continue to do that. We did this last year, and the contractor again this year was willing to hold his prices again. So if the city is willing to continue that agreement, we can continue on with those same prices.
All right, any questions?
Yeah, Jeff, this is the different approach that we're taking to some of the roads. Is that correct? And I'm
This
looking.
is one tool in the toolbox that we have. Crack sealing, micro sealing is one portion we do. You have normal paving, we have rejuvenation, we have a combination of a couple of them together. So these are just two pieces of the puzzle that we have that we use every year.
And the prices that I'm looking at, we've talked before, it's a lot cheaper.
So a
to
double
go.
micro is $3.80 per square yard. Our to hot mix with a mill and fill is generally around $14 to $17 a square yard.
So it's $3.80 a square yard versus $15
Ish,
ballpark.
yeah.
Okay.
Depends on how much you're doing. The more
Right.
with hot mixing, the more you do, generally the cheaper per square yard it is.
Right.
For us, usually around the 14 to 17 range.
Okay. Thank you.
And I know you referenced the state code with regards to renewing these contracts. IC 522-17-4 talks about the fact that you can renew any number of times as long as it's no longer than the term of the original contract. So, just out of curiosity, at what point would we consider rebidding those? I know that we got favorable pricing in 2017, and you've renewed 17, 18, and now 19. And it doesn't appear that there's any break on us having to rebid those. I mean, it just appears that you can continue to extend those contracts. Again, from the IC code. So with that being said, and with those prices being the same, I'll ask for your consideration.
I'll move we approve the contract.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right.
Thank you very much.
Jeff,
Thank you.
thanks again for your efforts. You know, I've, over the years, talked to you about this, and I know it's not been easy up and down, but this is another example of providing services and trying to hold costs and I appreciate that as a taxpayer too, so thank you.
This contract will approximately be covering about 21 miles of crack sealing and roughly 7 miles of micro sealing. So depending on how bids and prices for other projects come in, will determine on how much we are able to do. So yeah, this is a good chunk of road work, so thank you.
Thank you.
All right, the next item is First Friday downtown street closures, and that has been presented to you. We have a new form. I know, Stacy, you worked on that along with the street department, and it's a little bit more formal process, if you will. So the information and the schedule is on here. The map is on here that shows the normal closures, which are the red lines. And then there are some special events that are also listed on the schedule that will involve a little bit expansion of that. So, any questions?
I don't have an issue with it. It does look like there's one date that they'll come back to us as spectacular, but, and I appreciate the form, and then also the First Friday events. It's all great, so, do you have any questions? No? I move to accept.
Second?
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, thank you. The next would be the road closure for the Fat and Skinny Tire Festival that's rapidly approaching. I do believe we have a guest here from the Kosciuszko County Velo Club who will introduce himself and talk about the event.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Greg Demopoulos. I'm the president of KCV and the director for Fat and Skinny. So thanks for partnering with us or hearing us out. This will be the 16th year for the festival. This will be the 4th year for the downtown road time trial, which is what the map you guys received requesting for the closure, which is similar to the last 2 years in 2 phases. The red being the first phase, where we're requesting to close Center Street between Indiana and Lake, and then Buffalo and Indiana between Main and Market. That would start at 2 o'clock, so we can allow the tent company to come in and set up the tent for the live music. We can also start getting ready for the BMX stunt show, the barricades, the things like that. And then the second part, phase 2, is the orange, which is getting the rest of the streets closed out to Boggs and Zimmer Biomet. That would start at 4 o'clock. The difference that you'll see in the request this year compared to the last 2 years, based on feedback from citizens and also local police that we're helping, we're going to keep a portion north-south on Lake Street, and then also where Center Street and Market Street converge open until the very last minute, till we have to close the course, close the roads to get the course completely ready for the first racers to take off. The interesting thing with a time trial is the racers go every 1 minute, so they're only themselves racing against the clock. And so we have to have a closed course to keep them safe. That will remain open, so Lake Street and then where Center and Market come together, literally right up until 6:45. The first riders are to go off at 7, and you have to give that first group time to warm up a little bit. So those will be manned by police officers, just to make sure everything is completely safe and closed off at the right time. So that's the main difference this year with the request. So and then barring any delays, the last racer will go off at 9:45, so it's about a 10-minute course. And then once they're back, we will start tearing everything down on the orange. So phase 2 will get torn down first, and then once live music is done on Center Street, we'll start to tear that down. And when the tent company is here to remove the tent, then everything should be done and cleared up by midnight.
All right. So the only real difference is you're going to keep Lake Street open during the setup up till about 6:45.
Correct, yep.
Okay. All right. Any other questions?
I assume the fire, police chiefs just walked in there. Assume they're okay with all this.
Yeah, we've worked with Joel Beam
Yeah.
on all of
Good.
this, so.
Okay. Well, I'll move to approve.
Second?
Okay, any further discussion or questions? All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right,
Okay.
Thanks, Greg.
Thank you, guys, appreciate it. Just
All right.
a quick note, so last year we had 2,119 different event participants throughout the weekend. Thousands more in attendance, and actually, the two winners of the road time trial last year, male and female, are now racing professionally. So the caliber of participants we have is incredible, so thank you guys.
well, we'll
for
do
your
everything we
partnership.
can to help and make sure the weather's nice too.
Yes, right.
All right. All right, thanks, Greg. Okay. Chief, I think you're going to present on the maintenance agreement for the generators. Item number 4.
This is a continuation of using Cummings for the police department and the fire department's generators. Their service maintenance agreement that's done yearly. The next one will be coming forward next year will include also Station 3's. Station 3's generator is on a warranty contract right now, so this one's just Station 2 and 1 at Warsaw PD. My research is that's the same cost amount that it's been.
So the pricing's the same?
Yes.
Yeah,
This went to the territory board and was approved, and it's coming to you today.
yes, last Monday.
I move to approve.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? We are having a lot of discussion about generators in the city, emergency generators, operating, allowing our information systems and our server to continue operating if there were an issue, potentially using this area as a command post if there was a major emergency, and the need for generators and these types of maintenance agreements are all it's all creeping into the conversation. So we will probably hear more about generators as we move along. But I know at the fire station, it's critical that that they operate with generators in place, as well as police department.
And
So,
maintenance agreements are critical. We have one that's over 20 years old and runs like a top because we have maintained.
yeah.
Yep.
I think, just to remind folks, I think you said you guys fire yours up once a month, and then they come in
run
and install.
every Monday at all 3 fire stations are set on a timer to run. Then we also go over to handle the one for District 2 that sits at the police department. It's on wheels. It's mobile. We run that once a week to make sure it's up and running.
All right. And then you've got a little bit smaller maintenance agreement with Sands regarding a copier, $300 maintenance fee for the copier you've got over at Station 2.
That'd be the one at Station 1,
Station
Main
1.
Street Station.
Okay.
The one that we had in there was 13 years old and it finally failed. And we had Sands contract with that one. This is a replacement. And Shirley wants to stay with Sands on their maintenance agreements.
All right, questions?
No, I'll move to approve that.
Second?
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, thanks, Mike. Then we've got, Whitney, are you going to handle these? Jennifer is gone, and we will have Whitney present, first of all, the new hire change in payroll report. I think those are all pretty self-explanatory. Move from one shift to another, a couple replacements and a promotion.
There's a department change, a shift change within a department, and then just the acknowledgement that we're gonna have summer seasonal start coming on board with a couple different departments as well.
Okay, questions?
Move to approve.
Second?
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, thank you. There's some travel requests here. Those are all, have been presented. Clerk Treasurer, Fire Department, HR, and, or Fire Territory, HR, and Police Department going for training. Any questions or See anything that you need further explanation on?
I move to accept all as presented.
Second?
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, and then there's a maintenance agreement for the software used in HR. Runs from May 1st to April 30th, 2020. No increase in price. Any comment on that, Whitney?
That's just her people track system. It's for if the software goes bad, she has access to support from their company. It's just personnel management.
Okay,
I'll move to approve.
Second.
further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
And as we talked about generator discussions, Stacy will present a proposal with regards to our city server and the backup for that in the event of a power outage. Stace?
So you have a proposal here from D&D Electric to do some rewiring at City Hall as well as to add a transfer switch. This would allow us to tie a generator into our panel for City Hall to keep the building up and running, but most importantly, keep the server room and network up and running. And then there's also an item on there, a small item, to make a modification to one of the wastewater generators to add a connection box so that we can also tie that into City Hall as a backup generator should that need arise. It would not take away from wastewater's use of that generator. It would basically make it a dual-use generator in this case. When we go live with the server system, everyone will be receiving their data and their internet service from City Hall. So it's going to be really critical that we keep this building, or at least that server network, up and running. The fiber runs underground, and so even if things are happening above ground, the fiber may still be intact and serviceable, but if we don't have power here after our battery backups go down, then the departments will be at a loss as well. So this will give us the opportunity to pull a generator, whether it's the emergency management generator or the wastewater generator, and keep the parts of the building up and running that we need to keep up for the city to continue conducting business or to respond to an emergency.
So having those portable generators already within the city is very helpful, and being able to connect to the server is also is critical. Obviously, it's hard to look ahead if there was a major emergency. You know, those other generators that the city has, the mobile generators, could potentially be needed for lift stations or other needs and necessities, emergency. So the city will be pursuing a grant for a generator specifically for our city server here in the city hall. But in the meantime, this gives us that flexibility that if power does go down and we need to keep the server operating, we've got mobile generators within the city that can be brought down here and utilized until we have the opportunity to get our own through a grant. Stace, can you just mention, I think it's Homeland Security that offers those grants?
Yeah, the Indiana Department of Homeland Security has a couple of funding opportunities that we've discussed with them this project, and it seems like a viable option for us to try to get funding for a dedicated towable generator to use for City Hall that could then be used elsewhere if there's not a need at City Hall. So those cycles usually open up early summer, and we'll be planning to submit an application for funding when that opens up.
So back to the issue at hand, and that's the $17,778 for the rewiring and the modification of the one generator to give us a temporary fix should that need arise.
And D&D Electric's been a regular service provider to the city. Right?
Yes.
Yes. Larry Hayden with the wastewater department worked with me on this because it's more of his expertise area. He's on vacation today, so he's not here, but yes. And I will note, Mayor just mentioned that this is a temporary thing. It is temporary. It helps us now immediately to get rid of our exposure during a power outage, But doing this work will also play into having that full-time dedicated generator. So this work is not going to waste if we move forward with that project. This is almost like leveraging and starting the ball rolling in that direction. So this work will stay in place and be needed regardless of what happens with the
So
generator
if
down
we're
the
able
road.
to secure a generator from a grant from Homeland Security, that generator would plug into the wiring and.
Correct, there wouldn't be additional
That we're doing right
wiring
now.
needed.
And I thank Stacy, and we've had some department head meetings and discussed this and came up with this solution, and I appreciate everyone's input. You know, you never worry about it till you need it, and like Stacy mentioned, that important word, exposure, and when it comes to trying to provide emergency services for the city in the event of a problem, we don't want to be exposed, that's for sure. So.
Mayor, that's the reason why I'm seeing the appropriation coming from all the different departments. Is
Right.
a list. That's what it came.
Because I think as Stacy mentioned, all of the fiber is.
What's the battery life? You mentioned battery life. What's that?
Approximately 2 hours.
2 hours?
Yes.
Okay.
We have not run that down to
Right.
test it out, but it's approximately 2 hours, so. And that is enough time for wastewater to respond and hook up a generator. Brian has agreed to do that, should that situation arise. They'll be notified and have time to respond.
I move to approve.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Thank
All
you.
right, thank you. All right, item 10, looks like a acceptance of a grant from the Dane and Mary Louise Miller Foundation.
Yes, I'm pleased to announce that the Dr. Dane and Mary Louise Foundation Committee has awarded the Parks Department a grant in the amount of $31,933. That is half of the portion to the reconstruction of the tennis courts at Kelly Park to include 4 permanent pickleball courts. So I would like to ask for your acceptance.
That's awesome.
I move to accept.
Second.
Any further discussion? I would just like to say we never take for granted our community partners who are willing to step up and provide really neat quality of life and park opportunities for all of our community, for all of our citizens. And again, this is just another example. We pass it, we accept it, we say thank you, but that special acknowledgement to both Dane and Mary Louise Miller Foundation as well as K-21, which is coming up next. It's really important to not take those for granted. So, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? And then we'll move to the second part of that.
And then also the K-21 Health Foundation Committee has awarded the Parks Department a grant for $31,932.50. This is the other portion of that project. So as Joe mentioned, I mean, this is incredible that we live in a community where foundations get behind park and recreation and we have this opportunity, because it's my understanding that these will be the first permanent pickleball courts in Kosciuszko County outside that the public can use for free. So it's exciting.
Larry, would you also just mention a few of those projects that are going on down in Kelly Park? I mean, in addition to this.
Yeah, in addition to that, we were telling the foundations that we're getting ready to put in $90,000 worth of new playground equipment there. The guys are actually laying the foundation for that today. Not only that, we have the parking lot for the sledding hill coming off of Baker Street. We've had some problems with parking on Baker Street, there, some concerns, but that's going to go in after June. So we'll have that. We'll have that, a new playground, some concrete work, plus the tennis courts going. So a busy place, and it'll look great when it's all done. So, yep.
All right. Any further questions?
Now I'll move to accept.
Second.
Again, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, and again, a big thank you to K-21 as well for their support of that.
Thank you.
All right, Sheila, concerts.
So the first contract that you have in front of you is for Treated and Released. It's through Gary Inyart. This will be the opening band for the Blues and Barbecue Festival this year, which is happening June 28th. And in keeping with the theme of doing local openers with the rock and country through the contest with the radio station, I wanted to keep that. Last year, we had a Warsaw band do the opening for the Blues. This year, these guys are from Fulton County, the Rochester area, so still pretty local. Yeah. Yep.
Treated and released.
Yes.
Any questions?
I move. Second.
Further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right.
Thank you.
And
And then the second one here is for our August 9th Central Park Concert Series. You did previously approve a contract for Smooth Edge 2 out of Fort Wayne. They were a returning band from a couple years ago. After that was approved, before they signed the contract, the main guy called me and said, hey, we've had some band changes and we don't feel like we can give you the caliber of show that you expect. So we would rather step out now and let you get someone else in that spot rather than drop out the last minute, which I very much appreciate. So I did a search and they actually gave me this lady's contact, and I looked her up, and the quartet is really good, and I'm excited to bring that. She's also from Fort Wayne area.
Good.
So this would be a jazz act, which we don't have jazz in the lineup for the genres this year.
Questions?
I move to accept.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? I assume we don't need to do anything with that other contract.
I'll just void the other one.
Okay. All right, very good, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Jeremy, Anchorage Road, notice to proceed.
Yeah, it's taken us a while to get to this point, but this is the issuance of the notice to proceed for the Anchorage Road project, and as was discussed at previous meetings, NDOT's changed their process a little bit. Prior to a couple of years ago, they would issue you an award for all of the different phases of the project. Now they're just issuing an award for the construction, and then as you submit your contracts, the assumption is that they're going to pay for those at 80/20 as well. So with this project, you have the notice to proceed. We did receive the contract from the state as well as the PO for $307,200. So of the $384,000 contract with Structure Point, NDOT will be paying the $307,200, so the 80% match.
All right. So Jeremy, would you just differentiate between this project and the project that NDOT is going to do this summer on Anchorage Road? They're two separate projects.
Yeah, the project that NDOT is doing is specific to the intersection which they control and own. So they own the intersection of Anchorage Road and US 30. Those improvements that they're doing are more or less in preparation for some of the things we will be doing on Anchorage Road. So they will be adding some additional road widening and some turn lanes that are not currently in place. They'll be widening a little bit and adding a turn lane.
And that's happening this summer,
And that will happen this summer, yes.
right? As opposed to this
This
longer project.
Yeah, so this project is a 2022 fiscal year project. In the federal fiscal years, they start 6 months prior, so this will run from July of 2021 to June of 2022. So that's the window we're trying to hit. We're trying to have this project bid out sometime between July of 21 and June of 22.
Again, I know you'll be hearing about this other project this summer. I don't want there to be confusion. These are, the widening of those intersections is an NDOT-initiated project. No city funds, no city participation to speak of other than helping them with their closures and lane restrictions at the time. This project is our LPA project, 80/20 federal state project that we applied for and received. We were awarded last year.
2018, yeah.
Yes, 18. So just make sure everybody understands the difference there. So really what we're asking for here is the 20% to be paid out of the TIF for the engineering, the $64,000.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right. Scott?
I'm gonna have Angie speak.
Okay.
Hi. We're asking for acceptance to use Verizon as the carrier for our mobile devices, and we were asked to provide rate sheets for that, so we did.
Right, and this was the transfer that the council approved so that we would go from city reimbursement to actual city-owned phones. And this just provides the rates that were brought up during that transfer request. So everybody understands what those fees are, and that we will be saving money by doing this initially, and will certainly, could become a model for the rest of the city as we move ahead. But kudos to the police department, Scott in particular, and Angie for all the work you've done on this. I know it's been with privacy issues, it's been a difficult weighing of which is better and cheaper, but this seems to work out well for everybody, and most importantly, during an emergency situation, our ability to communicate in the cell towers will be elevated to the top, and I think that's huge. Questions?
While, again, it's hard for me to follow everything on it, I really appreciate your work. I do see in the purchase order that there are 200 lines. Is that phones, iPads? Is that, where's the 200?
We have 35 lines for the phones, but that also includes the ability to upgrade in case the city wants to open up the mobile devices to other departments.
Okay, okay, I'm sorry.
So you're not going to use all 200
Oh, no.
lines? Why didn't-
Okay.
Good
But
question.
That would set it up for these rates, or it would assist other departments then?
Yes.
I get it.
And it
That-
includes iPads and things like
That's what
that for other departments as well.
I thought there might be a double deal like the phone and iPad, but then 200's a lot.
No,
I
they just
wondered,
opened
yeah.
it and increased it to include more city devices if we choose to.
Good idea, yeah.
So upon approval today, the mayor will sign the GSA, basically,
Okay.
announcement that the city will cover up to 200, but obviously that's not the case, but it still would be for citywide.
Okay,
That's
good,
why we didn't sign it, we're letting the mayor sign it. So.
good. Thank you.
All right. Any questions? Any further questions?
I do appreciate the department's patience, and I do appreciate the council's support for this. I will move to accept.
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ann. All right. Pay application number 1, Kokosing Industrial.
Yes, this is the first pay app on the plant expansion. Much of it is mobilization for them to get all the equipment there and start to buy supplies and so forth. Some of you have been out and checked it out. There are some big holes out there right now. You can get online and check it out, but they're moving quickly.
Yeah, they're doing work. I was just looking back on the inspection. Who's handling the inspection is Wessler handling the inspection of?
Wessler has 1.5 employees there, so there's Jay Dials, his name, he is the on-site representative. And then Jody is also there 2 to 3 days a week, assisting with different things.
But as far as verification of the work, those are the 2 that are doing that.
Right, and then we are also in-house checking it as well. So Wessler has full-time RPR, and then we have someone on staff. And I'm sure when James gets back, he'll be involved again.
Okay, so Wessler, Jody's the one who signed this, that the work was done.
Yes.
Okay, I just want to make sure that you all know who was handling the inspection process, that the work and materials were ordered and completed as presented. So, all right.
I'll move to approve the pay app based on that.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Any early surprises, or are things going pretty good?
Things are going pretty good. We've had a couple change orders. Well, we had the one change order that we ran for it was a storm drain that came off of G&G's property and tied into our ditch. We didn't know that was there until we got all the trees excavated out. But nothing major at this
Good.
point.
All right. Okay,
Poured the first bit of concrete. I believe I heard there's about 5,500 yards of concrete to pour on this job, so we've poured the first floor. It was 2 foot thick and full of rebar, so.
all right. And then you've also got Sands' office, copy your agreement.
Yes, we're a similar situation as the fire department. Our old copier, we have 2 of them, one in the operation and maintenance building and one in the administration building. And the one in the O&M building died, and we moved ours over there, and then we purchased a new one. And then this is the annual maintenance agreement for that.
Okay. Questions? All right, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, thanks, Brian.
Thank you.
No special claims today, Lynn?
No special claims.
All right, and then the claims docket was presented. I know you've all scoured through that. Any questions?
I didn't see anything. I'll move to approve the claims docket.
Okay.
Second.
Any further questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right. Any other items to come before the board? Okay. Visitors, questions or comments? All right, is there a motion to adjourn?